Hi everyone, I'm Carol McKinnon. I worked at Tamworth Base Hospital and in community health I'm a child and family health nurse. I visit parents at home and look at child development, parent connection, supporting parents postnatally. I've been with the health system for quite a few decades. And this is one program that's brought council and library together with community health.
I'm Eddie Whittam, Chairman of Multicultural Tamworth. I'm also on the Access Committee for Migrants at the hospital. Tamworth is a community town. I've been involved in things for 40, 50 years here and they've all been community based. We find that when someone wants to run something from outside, it doesn't work. You've got to find the people with passion to do that particular thing and they'll run with it.
With Dolly Parton, as you know, a book's posted out every month until they're 5, which is astonishing. It's the book that they would buy at Collins bookshop down the street that's expensive. That puts a value in it immediately. So they go home with a book, then they get a library card in about a month for their baby, which is really important, and then they start getting their books.
I'm Sue O'Connor. I'm a grandmother, also a teacher of 40 years plus, supposed to be retired these days. But I've taught in a variety of settings, small schools, Hillview, lots of places where I've taught kindergarten children as they're starting school. And yes, I believe that this program is going to make a very big impact on children as they're coming into school. I think it's amazing the way that the program has been structured to make sure that there's a lot of involvement from parents, grandparents and siblings. Even the older siblings are, there's a lot more reading daily with children and involving children in the understanding of stories and the illustrations, and I think it's great the notes that come with it to give tips on how to involve the children in the reading of the stories.
It's interesting how I talk to 7 or 8-year-old children say, oh, I read to baby.
I've been to homes where there's a new baby. It's part of my job is home visiting with the new babies, and I've stepped over the book at the front doorstep. The 2-year-old comes racing out and here's the book, and they're happy to have their book. And you talk to the parents about it, and this is a big thing. Every month there's a big thing that there's a book arriving.
My name is Anju. I'm a registered nurse at Tamworth Hospital.
My name is Titus Elias. I work for Hunter New England Health. A couple of weeks after the book arrives, we say, where's the next book? So we keep waiting for it, and the day the book comes in, we're very excited to open it with Theo and let him run through the book to start with, and then trying to read through the book, and it's a very joyful process for us.
So it's a great joy to watch him turning the pages and pointing at familiar things, objects, and making sounds like as if he's reading the book.
Hello, I'm Jodie. I'm mum of 4 kids. So Hayla loves the reading probably the most. But we do, kind of when the parcels arrive, it's exciting for the whole family. So Hayla's really good at reading. She's in year 3, but Zay's in year 1. He's probably a little less confident in terms of reading, but for him, reading even like simpler books to the baby, it has boosted his... He reads a little bit at school, which is very good. But it just boosts his confidence, the fact that he can read to someone who can't tell him that he's wrong necessarily, like even just looking at the pictures, telling the baby, this is what this book is, it's really boosted his confidence.
And I think young kids like to check what's in that book, and the pictures are great, that's the whole thing, isn't it? It entices them to do these things.
What our program comes with is tips. It comes in the first book that they get home in the mail, and there's tips on how to read to those babies. So if the babies, our parents have some ideas about what they're doing and how to read, when to read, why you're reading, then that gives them a skill that they can build on. It builds confidence and it builds, once again, connection and relationship. The more relationship we can build, the better our babies are, the better our toddlers are at connecting, the better things are at school, the better things are at high school, the better our long-term relationships are.
It is very helpful because I was a bit confused of, he's very young, so how to read and how to make it more interactive, and the tips has been very helpful. So nowadays, like whenever I get the books, I go through the tip sheets first.
And when you hear the parents saying, oh, the books have been amazing, I've had them for 2 years, you know, and the kids really like them, and the books are good quality, and the stories are good, I think all that's important.
It was about a koala Lou. That was the first book we received.
Yes, there's the very high content of Australian authors, Aboriginal authors, non-Aboriginal authors, but Australian content. So to look through the book list and see Pamela Allen, Mem Fox, the Quaimalinas, Eric Hill, like to see these books, they're all my favourite books that I've used both as a teacher and with my grandchildren over the years.
Mum's saying, oh, the children are reading those books to the little baby, and my husband likes to read them, or the husband will say, I haven't read them, but the wife is reading them, and I get all different, you get different things, but everybody smiles.
With our families, especially with families with new babies, new dads, new mums, they may not be very skilled at what to do with a baby, right? Particularly our dads, and I've been to homes where dad's got all his gear, gaming gear or his shed gear or whatever. He's got all this stuff set up and he can do all that, and he's almost there waiting for the baby to be old enough to be able to engage in that. So what a book coming into the household brings is his, particularly for our young dads, is a way of dads connecting with their babies.
I think getting men to read to children is a big thing. Because Titus, he likes to read, but some men don't do that, and this is a chance to say, well, this is for you, you know.
And if you are able to connect well with one or two adults in your life that's stable, then what that leads to is long-term social connection. So I'm not talking just about this month, we're talking about the 2-year-old who's learnt who's securely attached to their parent because they were able to read to their baby and build that bond. We're talking about the 8-year-old who wants to be enthusiastic at school and learns how to connect, and they've got a connecting teacher and they know what to do socially with that to build connections. We're talking about the teenager who has learnt connection. It's part of their life. Their life is changing, but they're not, because they've had this connection, social bond and a secure attachment happening, they're not wandering the street.
It's so important that the children coming into school are exposed to daily reading. Not only does it help with the development of their language, but it helps with the development of their book skills, just even how to hold a book, how to orient children to a story before you start to read it, turning of the pages, just those basic book skills. It's so important that the children are developing those things in that 0 to 5. But most importantly, the children are developing a love and an excitement around books.
And the more words we hear, the better our learning is. So we have multiple neural or brain pathways that are being triggered and built when we're reading to our baby. We have that emotional pathway. This is critical. We have a social pathway that we're learning back and forth and conversation, and that social part of how to be with a baby's happening. We're also learning the skills of speech, sounds, and communication and language, and they're all different things, but they happen in the reading space. So if we get exposure to a lot of words, then that builds a better neural pathways in those 3 areas. And then there's the other part, which is the fine motor pathway. Now, when you might have seen videos or might have noticed your own child reaches out to try and turn the page. About 3 months, they're starting to reach out. Fine motor development is really important in our full brain development.
Books, to me, give people more chance of their language, more chance to understand.
The children now that are receiving these books in their homes are going to be starting off at school on a very firm footing to succeeding at school.
Having books handy at home is just helping parents to access the books. I wouldn't think I would have made the effort to go and buy books for Theo, or this many books. So he's like a year and 4 months, so he would have had like 16 books already. So I probably would not have done that myself, or made the effort to do it. And having the books handy is helpful for Theo and helpful for us to just pick it up and just read.
And what sort of message do you think it sends to new families when they come to Tamworth?
It says the community is friendly, the community is welcoming, it's amazing.